What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, March 14th, and you know exactly what that means. It's Throwback Thursday, and we'll be breaking down Dynamite for everybody. We've got big business to discuss. Big business to discuss. And if we're going to discuss big business, I got to send it out to Philadelphia, where some of the biggest big business ever has been conducted. To our head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Been a long week, but this is always one of the highlights of the week for me, and I love doing it. So let's get into it.
Absolutely. I am hyped to get into it. But before we do, I got to introduce our other co-host riding with us, as always, on every Thursday. It's not a Tuesday, but it's the Tuesday Night Delight. The man from the DMV, Shadi. How you doing on this Thursday?
Throw them twos up, man. You know I gotta rock a, Hall of Famer, WWE Hall of Famer, the GOAT, Muhammad Ali. But I'm good, man. I'm tired. This week you and I had a conversation, and I think you're gonna have to call me Ramadan Shad for the rest of the month, because
Absolutely.
I'm going kind of crazy. But I love it. I love doing this, man. I'm glad to be here with y'all, per usual on Thursdays. You know, you left me and Anthony hanging on the Tuesday daytime, but it's okay, bro. We held it down for you.
No doubt. I appreciate you guys both holding it down for me. And Ramadan Shad, the new mythical fighter, maybe check him out in UFC 5, EA Sports UFC 5, that is, over there with Motivated McGregor and the other all time mythical fighters that we've
Oh
seen
gosh,
in
that's funny.
history. What a show last night. Let's show a few comments because this is what we're going to talk about here out of the gates. I
We
mean,
good.
come
What
on.
comment you
What else
showing
are we doing?
first?
CEO.
CEO. CEO.
CEO.
I've been saying that all day
CEO.
today, man.
Oh,
it's,
dude, I
it's
cannot
just
get over
stuck
it
in
myself.
been stuck in my head.
Yes. Shout out David Maj. Coach 23 with what up? What is going on, Coach 23? Good to have you as always. David Maj with the twos up as well. Big business.
Business.
And then, yeah, Mercedes Mone is all elite. Let's start there.
She is.
I mean, we knew it, but we didn't. I get it, boss, ton, all of that. We knew it, but we didn't. And it was one of those that it was still great to see it. The debut landed, the follow up landed. I cannot wait to get into this. I loved it. The gear, the everything, start to finish. Talk about a way to debut somebody that deserves a debut of that level of gravity. Anthony, I got to ask you about your thoughts on Mercedes Mone's debut last night in AEW.
Stevie Wonder could have seen that.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. We had a mute battle here that
What
got
are
in
you
trouble.
doing?
I was trying to I was coughing and then I muted you on accident and that escalated quickly.
Okay,
Anyway,
you're killing the flow here. Stevie Wonder could have saw that it was Mercedes. I mean, it was the most obvious thing. They presented her like they did with CM Punk with the first dance. I don't think she's CM Punk level. Punk was gone for 7 years, but I understood why they did it in her hometown. I got it. They presented her like a major star. Smart move. Very smart move. The question is, does AEW have the capacity to book her correctly? Because they've brought in several women over the years and went, oh, this is going to be the big thing. Soraya, because she had one moment at All In. Other than that, she hasn't done much. Tony Storm finally found her groove, and she wasn't even brought in as the major one. Deanna's, so far since she's come in, I'm curious to see where they go with this. The booking so far overall last night, presenting her as a star, having her come out at the end. I think naturally she's best as a heel. When we were watching it last night, we all thought, is she gonna hit Willow? Because it was teased. Like she had that look on her face. I think she's best as a heel. Personally, I don't think I
I would
don't
agree.
I don't care for her much as a babyface because in a lot of ways, and I've said this previously on the show, I've been to conventions. A number of fans have had told me that they had horrible interactions with her. I've seen videos where she's not the nicest person. I think she's more natural as a heel because I think she's got that in her. So I personally, the move is to make her a heel, in my opinion.
I hear you on that. I agree. I echoed the same sentiment last night. And also, we got a hilarious comment here from David Modge. Muted, and then you good. We are good. That is totally my fault. I apologize. I've been dealing with brutal allergies all week. You move to Southern California, you think the weather's perfect, and then suddenly it rains all the time. You get Santa Ana winds, pollen in the air, and I've got the sniffles and the desert throat. Like
Shouldn't
you
your
have
body
no
get used
idea. I'm
to it?
over here. I was
You've
trying to
been there
mute
forever.
myself. I muted Anthony on accident. Huge mistake. But either way, I am totally with you, Anthony. Um, Coach 23 added that it was the worst kept secret this year. Probably, but at the same time, I kind of understand it as far as ticket sales are concerned.
I mean, you see that crowd? it
Um,
was a pretty good crowd last night.
I think it was a pretty good crowd last night. And not only that, Shad, speaking of guys who've had tough time with allergies this week, I'm going to toss this to you any second here.
Wait to
But
throw me under the bus.
But no, well, hey, it's not. You
No.
can't
At least
control
he didn't mute
allergies.
you.
Was it
It
noticeable? I'm
is
just
what it
messing with
is.
you.
No, it's not. At least it was for me. Like you, everyone heard me cough because I muted Anthony so I could cough into the microphone. That
You
went
good. You
delightfully.
good. You good. You good.
Sorry, I sincerely apologize for that one. But um, he Coach 23 added that she's not relatable as a babyface. Heck, she's part of WWE's documentary episode of WWE Evil. I agree. I also think the debut, you're bound to get a babyface type reaction. So once we get this out of the way, that's when the heel turn needs to happen. And to see the turn on television, I also think is important. We've got another comment over on Instagram before I toss it to you, Shad, from They Call Me Noel. Why do women in AEW go straight to the title shots? I would say that is a great question in certain circumstances. Not for Mercedes Mone. Mercedes
She has the
Mone
credentials.
It's only happened.
is
It's really only happened for the last two that I can remember. I don't
right.
remember a lot of them.
It's a fun
Got there.
topic to discuss, but at the same time, I think it's Mercedes Mone. She is the boss, right? CEO. We heard the chants last night. I think for what we're going to see from Mercedes Mone, if she's not in the title picture, it would make a heck of a lot less sense than if she was. But Shad, I got to ask you your thoughts on the debut of the CEO, not just the boss.
CEO. CEO. Man, oh man, oh man. If you don't know what Aura is, you could literally just watch yesterday's episode of AEW Dynamite and see her walk out. That is Aura. This is a superstar. This is a megastar that AEW was able to capture. And I thought the debut was phenomenal. Entrance, new music, the chanting for CEO, getting that over right off the bat last night. Her cutting a, very passionate promo, speaking for the first time on an actual televised wrestling uh brand, and talking at home too. Like, she's in Boston. This is her home. I know everyone is kind of larping on the fact that she said I'm home, but technically she's home. She's in her own home state. I thought it went great. She's in here for a mission, and I think that is what was expressed. Uh, to y'all's point in regards to her being a heel and a babyface, I do agree. I think Sasha Mercedes is best as a heel. Heck, well, let's even talk about her run at New Japan with the feud with Kyrie and Mayu Iwatani. Like, she was a heel in that too, and she played those feuds and matches were amazing. But it's hard to make her a heel out the gate. Obviously, first night back, um, the fans are excited, and whether she hit Willow or not, they were going to cheer for it regardless. She was at home, but overall, man, it was a great intro to it. I'm super curious to see what she does in AEW, because the one thing that I absolutely loved about last night's episode, it was a lot different. You opened it with her, you closed it with her, you made the main event a women's match because it's tied to her. If this is the catalyst to kind of jumpstart the women's division and make it a more focal point. By any means, signing Mercedes was a brilliant move on their behalf. Regardless of that, her being the star that she is, like she seems like she is the most important person in that locker room out the gate now. Like people aren't going to draw what she can draw that they signed these last few years. Like she's a person you have to put in position, and it'd be it'd be foolish if Tony doesn't do that. I feel like
I
you
agree.
you spend the money on her, you got to really treat her like the star that she is. And AW, we always talk about it amongst us three. They have a lot of talent in that women's division. It's just not being positioned or used right. We're gonna talk about the main event later, so I won't go into detail about that. But in regards to the intro, CEO looking like $1 million, by the way. Like
Oh
she looked
yes,
absolutely stunning
couple
last
mil.
night, respectfully. Like she looked great. My you can attest to it. I literally we were watching it all together, and my wife looks at my screen. She's like, "Wait, that's Sasha? I want to hear it." I had to drop y'all off and then
Literally drops off the call.
Just
It was all
abandons
time.
us.
plays it on my screen, and like Sasha is a person that is just like I don't know, man. She's one of the four horsewomen. She's one of the most important women's wrestlers in modern era of wrestling. This is something very different for AEW, and I hope that this is going to be the start of something great because I've really enjoyed these last two dynamites, and I hope we keep going in this direction.
I love everything you just said there too, and we've got two electric comments that I really want to address coming out of this shot. And over on Instagram, they call me Noel. I'm going to get to that one too. So hang in tight. But I gotta address this one from Coach 23 myself, which is best guess with Monet. They're doing the similar route as Christian Cage in challenging for a secondary title in the TBS title. The TBS title has become secondary in image as well after Jade's run.
I don't
I
have a
understand
problem.
where you're
I don't have
coming
a
from.
problem with it being a
There's
secondary
Jade's,
title.
but I do want us to pump the brakes for a second here. Because if anybody in their right mind thinks that Jade Cargill, with one appearance in the Royal Rumble, was built anywhere but AEW, or is a bigger star than Mercedes Mone, I can't understand that. That makes no sense to me.
Hold up.
Jade Cargill isn't getting
She is
Mandalorian roles.
she
She's
has
not.
potential. She has
She's
That's
potential. She has
but that's
potential.
that's
she has
not that's not a
potential, but
knock on Jade. What he's
that is
saying
no
though.
knock on Jade. What I'm saying, or what he's saying, or what I'm saying either. But my
He's saying the
point
title
is,
has felt secondary after she left and
it
not been
has.
champion.
Putting it on Mercedes Mone. Mercedes Mone is a bigger deal than Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is one of my favorites. Nobody's been a bigger fan of Jade Cargill over the last 3-4 years than me. I have put her over in numerous. I went as far as saying on this very channel that I believed that Jade jumping to WWE was a bigger loss for AEW than Cody Rhodes. And I still believe that, truth be told. I
I,
still believe
I
that
don't
to
know
be the
about that,
case
but okay.
because I believe the difference is Cody Rhodes never had the men's division in AEW on his back in the way that Jade carried the women's division in AEW
It,
for a long time. This is different. This is Mercedes Moné. This is Sasha Banks. This is the boss. It doesn't mean that she's better than Jade. She's more established and a bigger star. There's hardly any debate for that. Go watch The Mandalorian. That is not a role that Jade Cargill was auditioning for, right? She's not getting the Hollywood calls that Sasha Banks, that Mercedes Moné is getting. She's not. That's just the fact,
I
It's
don't.
really
right?
not, it's really
Sasha
not
Banks
even a
can take Sasha Banks can take her own direction into her own hands in a way that Jade Cargill cannot.
We
And
don't
that
know
is
that.
the
We don't.
difference
We
here.
don't know. We don't know
yeah.
that yet. Yet. Let
Yeah,
let me pump the brakes on what you're
Yeah.
saying for a brief second
I
because
hear you.
I don't disagree with you, but Jade is still relatively new in this,
Mhm.
Totally.
and she hasn't. if we're talking solely as a professional wrestler and all that, yes, Sasha is way more established. She's a far better in ring wrestler.
She was on a
Right.
bigger platform too.
Don't disagree with that. But like Jade is also one in a kind type of talent, being so
Totally.
new and becoming a star off of just pure imagery, like just being her presence, not even being known for a top-notch worker. So I don't want to bash her. I don't disagree with his comment because that title has felt secondary, but guess what? It is a secondary title. And I will even argue to that point. The TBS women's title has been booked better than the AEW women's title.
I agree.
It has
Oh,
until
100%.
Tony Storm held the women's title.
And so
Yeah.
I think
Tony's
Tony
been
has been.
excellent. Tony's been outstanding.
Tony's excellent, but it's Tony over the title. We don't care about
Oh,
the title.
absolutely.
Right.
We just care about the character.
AEW's had two problems: the booking of their women's division, and they have too many titles in general. So because there's so many titles, a lot of things gets lost in the prestige. If everyone has a participation trophy, it means nothing.
Totally. Totally. And I do agree with that. In the TBS title, Jade clearly elevated,
Oh, absolutely.
right? I think no doubt. But if you look at both Exoduses, right? There was a pretty big stain on the way it went down with Statlander winning the title there. A lot of people didn't like that. And then Jade goes to the WWE, right?
They
The other way, we know what happened with Sasha Banks. We know what happened with Mercedes Mone too. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But we're also in a position where Sasha Banks has main evented WrestleMania. Jade Cargill has not. Right? Jade Cargill is awesome. Jade Cargill is on one side and Sasha's on the other. This is different. This is unique. And to me, to treat it like that they're actually comparable, it is super interesting. One more comment I want to add really quickly. I told They Call Me Noel that I would read this one, which is the debut was amazing. Just want them to build women's roster and storylines. They have amazing talent waiting for Jamie and Britt to be back. I agree. Jamie and Britt are both great challengers for whatever title it is that we put Mercedes Mone after. In where the one that Mercedes decides to chase is the one that either Jamie or Britt should, because those returns are going to provide pops.
Oh, I
And
need Jamie versus Mercedes. I need
Absence
that match.
does make the heart grow fonder. Say what you will about the AEW women's division and booking. Absence always makes the heart grow fonder. Not always, but it does most of the time. Let's move on to our next topic really quickly. Let's talk about Samoa Joe and Wardlow. I loved this match. It was a slugfest. I really liked it. And I liked the fact that Wardlow looked great. The power bomb, 300 pounds above your head, is not easy for anybody that can stand on their own 2 feet. The spots for these two dudes were outstanding. Wardlow is that good of an athlete. And guess what? That coquina clutch is that over. It makes sense. He didn't tap. He went to sleep. I enjoyed the booking. There was some criticism of it. This looked more like a fight than half the wrestling I've seen the last year and a half. I enjoyed this immensely. Anthony, I got to get your thoughts on it for sure. Feel the same or a little differently?
No, I'm not positive like you are on this.
Ooh.
I mean, we've seen them face each other before. I don't think this was better than previous times we've seen them. It was all right. To me, I loved the finish. The finish was a thing of beauty. The way they did that, and it kept Wardlow strong because he didn't tap. He got choked out. I thought that was well done. As a whole, it was a mediocre match. It wasn't the best we've seen of them, I don't think. And it hurts it a little bit because no one really thought that Wardlow was going to beat Joe at this point. The whole storyline they're trying to do of, Adam Cole's just going to turn the belt over to Wardlow's going to turn the belt over to Adam Cole. Like, we all know that's not happening. Or at least it shouldn't if they did. I was more interested in post-match with Swerve going after Joe, which was the smart move, keeping them apart. I loved, Swerve beating up the security, and while Joe's going up the ramp, he just kicks a security guard off the ramp just for the hell of it. I thought that was great. And, I'm curious to see where they go from here because they made this push with Warlow going, I'm not waiting for my turn. And he keeps waiting for his turn. Like, I don't, it's, he's delivering these passion promos, but when it comes to him actually going after the belts, it's just not there.
I hear you 100%. Other than that, I did enjoy it. Like I get what you mean. Like the ending was good. The finish was great, but it's not ideal when it comes to that. Let's though do our ad read here. Let's talk about Next Level. Huge contest. Wrestling Republic. Next Level. Let's actually let Ben talk about it. Just for 1 second here. Let's let Ben break the whole thing down for you. Because if you haven't answered this contest already, I don't know what you're doing. Because you can win 2 tickets. He's going to talk about it.
Hi, I'm Ben Allison from Wrestling Republic. But today you can call me Tony Khan because I have an important announcement for you. And that announcement is that we are teaming up with our great friends over at Next Level, the Next Level app, to give away 2 WrestleMania tickets for night 2 of WrestleMania and the Raw after WrestleMania. This giveaway is huge, and let me run you guys through it. You can win 2 tickets to night 2 of WrestleMania 40, in addition to 2 tickets for Raw after WrestleMania the night after. You'll also get a hotel between April 7th and 9th, and this will be at the Wyndham Philadelphia Historic District. You'll also have a round-trip shuttle from hotel to Lincoln Financial Field for the WrestleMania show. You'll have exclusive pre-show tailgate with superstar appearances, a dedicated stadium entrance, Superstore Express Lane, and a WWE credential / lanyard. This giveaway is huge, and not only that, it is also completely free for you guys, and you guys can, enter with 3 very simple steps. Step 1, you need to use our Connect link. You need to go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic. And you can see all our content, all our links in one place here. But the link that you guys want to get is right at the bottom. And that will be a link to the WrestleMania giveaway. You click there, you register there, then you go into step 2. Step 2 is even simpler. You download the Next Level app, and how you spell it is NXLVL on the App Store, on the Google Play Store, any of those types of stores, and you download the app and you create an account. Easy. We all know how to do it. And then step 3 is you take a picture or video of yourself wearing your favorite wrestler's merchandise or whatever wrestling merchandise that you have, and you put the hashtag as the caption and comment it as well, saying Next Level WrestleMania. That's hashtag NXLVL WrestleMania, all one word, and then you are entered. It's as simple as that. 3 simple steps, and it helps us out too. It helps out Next Level. So please enter and please join the thriving wrestling community on there. I can't wait to see you all enter.
Did you guys hear that? He can't wait to see you all enter. So if you haven't yet, do that immediately. Get excited. 2 tickets to Mania.
I'll let the viewers into a secret. If you take a video of a Tiffany Stratton shirt, you're more likely to win.
It's totally possible, actually. That is
statistically, it's 99.9 Steiner math.
Here comes the disclaimer along the bottom.
Statistically possible. Let's keep talking about Dynamite last night, though. Let's talk about the Elite and Pac. And Kingston and Penta. And really, it's about Okada and Kingston last night, as far as I saw it. This is what we're talking about here. Continental Crown. Eddie Kingston defending, likely against another slugger. Another blanket with sleeves. That's a snuggie for those of you when it comes to striking. This one will be tight. I think we're looking at Okada Kingston as soon as humanly possible. Shot, I got to ask you about, though, this
Oh
six-man
yeah,
tag last night.
you thought right because they are booked for next week's Dynamite to defend the Continental Classic title. Not all three titles, not the triple, but just that title, which is interesting. I didn't realize the title would be, defended individually, but that's neither here or there. In regards to the match, fun match. I mean, you have all six of those gentlemen. You're gonna have a good match. I'm really enjoying Okada tied with the corporate Bucks. Thought the little promo beforehand, leading into the match, where they were getting interviewed backstage, and Okada telling him to wish happy birthday and then telling him to sing happy birthday. It fits, man. It's a really good character within all three of them. The presentation is awesome with it. And to your point, we definitely got the build to Kingston and Okada. Kingston took the pin last night. And that has me super, super curious to see what happens next week because we are setting a match for that title on Wednesday. I'm thinking we're gonna get some sort of fluky finish, right? Because Eddie getting pinned 2 times in a row, that doesn't seem very fair to Eddie. But then you don't want your new, marquee signing to take a L. So it's kind of odd booking. And also to that point, I don't really want this match on a Dynamite. I feel like this could have been a pay-per-view match for Dynasty. And I'm hoping we get some kind of weird finish where it does lead to that. Because I think Kingston versus the the man, right? The corporate bucks, the guys who are on the tippy
Yeah.
top is a great story. Just how Eddie's character is. He's kind of that like grit fight. I never had anything kind of guy from the gutter, going against the people that are like the high end marquee names, and it's tough because in that type of scenario, you always want Eddie to win, but I feel like it if it's not a fluky finish next week, it may be Okada getting that title, which is going to be awesome as well.
It,
But
it will be. Either scenario I think is cool. And I like what you said there too. Like he can either be Robin Hood almost, Eddie Kingston in that scenario, right? Going against the elite. Or and we got the comment here from Coach 23, which is, yeah, Eddie is losing that title. But I think either way, it doesn't necessarily matter. Other than it does bury Okada. We've made a lot of Okada jokes. We've made Tiffany Stratton and Okada jokes. But I will say you've got a lot of Tiffany Stratton support over here on Instagram. Our good friend Tink2254. Hey guys, just jumping on. Tiffy time all day, every day, Shad.
what time is it?
I don't know. It's Tiffy
I
time
mean,
once again there.
Clark. I don't even let's not even compare Tiffany to Okada. Tiffany's
Okada.
far superior of a wrestler, individual. She probably has more money than him, right? Like she could be her own EVP while he has to work for the EVPs. It's not one I'm even gonna try to. It's apples to oranges, and when I say oranges, Okada is a rotten orange.
Who knows? I hear you there. It's Tiffy time for real now, though. She's a champ from David
And she's the
Modge.
people's champ, soon to be world champ at some point.
And then the other one, Chris Leclerc ends in a DQ. That'd be interesting.
Could see that happening.
We don't see a lot of DQs in AEW, but I will say it's totally possible. I mean, you never know.
So
Speaking of possibilities, though, let's do talk about Will Ospreay. And let's talk about that promo last night. The Billy Goat, right? As the people like to say these days. I don't know what's up with the high socks and the short joggers, but that must be a UK thing. So I respect it.
and
I
the
will say the
Adidas.
promo was excellent. Outside of that, Anthony, as our resident Cody Rhodes fan, I got to ask you, what do you want to talk about when it comes to Will Ospreay?
Interesting transition. I don't think this promo was the greatest one I've seen him do. I've seen him cut some really good promos. There was there was passion in it. I've said before, I think Ospreay is probably the best in the world right now, and has been for the past couple of years. Probably one of the best free agent signings AEW has ever made. and they're smartly promoting him as the star. And putting him against arguably one of the best technical wrestlers of all time in Bryan Danielson is a smart move. It's two people that have been called best in the world over the years. And there is a certain irony in the fact that, Bryan was originally trained by arguably the all time GOAT in Shawn Michaels, and Osprey has been compared to the Shawn Michaels of his generation. So there is a certain fittingness to this, and that's why Osprey Danielson, just on paper alone, that has the potential of being match of the year before any bell rings, before anybody walks down that aisle. That has the potential because everyone knows just how good both of them are, and you put them in the ring for the first time against one another, they can create some magic in that ring. I anticipate there's going to be a lot of promo stuff leading up to this. If they're smart, they don't touch, other than maybe a pull apart or something like that. But like no matches. I don't want to see a 6-person tag. I don't want to see a tag match with them. They shouldn't touch until Dynasty.
I totally agree. I could not be more excited about the match. And to be clear, we got the Apex Sounds is in the chat too, by the way, monster shout out. And then Team 2254 as well, talking about me joking about the socks thing. Like it was to me one of the best promos of the night, by the way, to be clear. I agree on that. Like absolutely electric. I loved the promo myself.
Yeah, bro.
Maybe a few too many bruvs, but that's neither here nor there.
The bruv is the new bro.
Bruv's killing me, man. Like the BRUV thing. I don't know.
Hey, they made a shirt for it, so you are going to hear it a lot more.
They make a shirt for everything.
It's plenty of it. Well, with that, bruvs, let's move on to our next segment. Let's talk about Darby Allin and Jay White, because I really loved this match. I really did. And Jay White, the Blade Runner, it's just good to see.
So clean.
It's just so clean. Such a good finishing move. So clean. I got to ask you about it, Shad. It's interesting to see Darby after such a high point at Revolution, turn around and take a loss.
We got the match itself. I agree. It is confusing, and I hold up. A couple things. The first thing with Darby, right?
Yes.
I don't disagree with your point on that. And this is something I talked about literally on the post show for the pay-per-view for Revolution. What's the direction for Darby? What is life in AEW look like for Darby Allin after Sting? Him taking a loss and being booked pretty much the same as he always is, right? He is the guy that is going to fight from underneath, go against the big dogs, but ultimately lose. He lost the TV match. It is a little concerning, but I will cut it a little slack because I know he's going to be written off TV for a little bit due to his aspirations of doing something that is very foolish, but that's neither here or there.
Mountain climbing.
He'll be written off by the time he comes back. Hopefully, we'll miss him, right? You got to get away for us to miss you, and then we can kind of restart the Darby Allin phenomenon. The beauty of last night's match was what happened after the match. And that is we are going to officially end the Bang Bang Scissor Gang stuff. I was so tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. Jay White and the Gun Club are so good. I love the Golden Elite. I think Jay White is a top of the line heel on the AEW roster, right? Maybe a little bit at the moment below obviously like Christian and all them, but like he's up there, and he's like in the stratosphere with like Adam Cole and stuff. And I think this is what we need. We need to get out of this Bang Bang Scissor Gang. We need to, merge the titles if you need. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Let's get him in more serious stuff going on. The feud that I want to see a lot is him and Copeland. That's kind of a fantasy feud for me because I think that could be good and as amazing of a match. But that was the benefit with the Acclaim part of it. There's something needs to be done with them, and I don't know what it is. Like it's gotten so stale, and I don't like to insult people of what they do outside of wrestling, but the fans are not as hot on Max Caster, right?
If we're
Um,
gonna cliche it out, dude, it's reached a tipping point.
it's getting pretty bad with his Twitter interactions and how he's been going upon it. Whether he's trying to do it to develop a heel persona or not, I don't know. But some stuff you kind of just gotta pump the brakes a little bit. Off the point that you're also the babyface going against the heel faction, so
Yeah.
that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think Anthony Bones is awesome, by the way. I think dude's got like a lot of potential to be a dude in AEW, like whether it be a mid card champ or whatever it may be. Like he's got something. And then Billy Gunn, I mean, Billy Gunn is just there.
Billy Gunn is there. I will say though, Billy Gunn, I felt like provided so much great stuff for the not only the Acclaimed, but the Scissor Gang thing in general. Billy Gunn legitimized the trio as a whole in a way,
Yeah,
but it's run its course in some ways, and that's not Billy Gunn's fault, or I would even say the Acclaim's fault. It's
it
like
just got
you
ran. It
can,
just got booked to the
right?
ground.
You can only do the same act so long. It's why people
Exactly.
do one tour per album as musicians, right? It's like you don't go play. Yes, you'll go back and play the hits once you're a legend, but it's interesting when you insert that into a scenario where you're with two younger
Mhm.
players in the Acclaimed, and it's Billy Gunn playing the hits alongside, right? And that definitely changes things. Go ahead, Anthony. What were you gonna say?
The best performers are the ones that have their finger on the pulse and can realize ahead of time that something is getting stale
Absolutely.
and is able to pivot and change it. One of the best I've ever heard was DDP said once about the Undertaker. He goes, if you took a photo of the Undertaker over the course of a couple months, you'll notice slight changes. He always
Right.
changed a look or changed something before it got stale. The Acclaim has never done that.
No, I will say though, to your point, and this is just me looking because obviously I haven't had that level of success because I'm not a professional wrestler. But just looking from the outside, it does seem that the most successful in the industry, that's an acquired skill. They hit a roadblock. They learn from failure. Look at John Cena with ruthless aggression, right? Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hollywood Blondes, The Ringmaster, right? Mean Mark Calloway, pre-Undertaker, right? The Kane was a dentist.
Rocky Maivia,
Rocky Maivia, and it does seem to me, and we kind of get lost in it too as longtime fans. Occasionally, I'm not saying us three or even our fans, not our fans, our viewers and listeners.
Yes.
What about What about Julia
easy
Hart?
to get tied up, right? Julia Hart is so fresh and so new. She's gonna stumble
Tony
along the
Storm.
way, but I do think there is room to give a bit of a break because I believe in. So we have got a lot of great comments here too, and we don't have time to read them all.
And the goat, Tatum Paxley.
Tatum Paxley, there you go. But we've got a ton
you
of.
forget Sting.
Sting.
The real goat. You're right.
We've got a ton of outstanding comments, like from a bunch of different people, and I wish I could get to them all because they're really great. Like Apex Sounds over here with on Instagram, he only sees Adam Copeland fighting Christian forever in AEW. I don't think so, man. I don't think it's necessary. I could see it, but I don't think that's totally necessary. Coach 23 was in agreement on the Acclaimed peak last year. Again, booking is the issue. Once they're up there, they become lukewarm booking. It's a difficult deal. Julia Hart has come a long way from Team 2254 over on Instagram. Like, this is a long conversation to be had when it comes to stuff like this. And that's the brilliance of wrestling here. It's funny because Ben, put out the video about tribalism and stuff. I made the joke about like it's cannibalism at this point. Like, is it more controversial to like both products than it is to just like one or the other?
People want you to pick one.
It seems unfair to me. And that's what I love about this is like just fun, good wrestling talk. We're out here because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We never will. But the fact that these these performers put in the work for us week in and week out. I want to keep this as positive as humanly possible. Yep. And with that, let's do our last topic before we hit throwback. Let's talk about Rio, the inaugural AEW Women's Champion, against my current favorite wrestler on the women's side in the AEW Women's Division, Willow Nightingale. I loved this because Willow is not a heel. She got the dub. Shad, talk to me about it.
Man, oh man, oh man. Let's give a round of applause to these two women. They put on a great match. Uh, they completely lived up to the status of having a main event match, and they were probably the best bell for bell match last night. So kudos to them. Uh, let's give respect to Rio. A lot of people always throw around the not believable, why is she wrestling, blah blah blah. Let's dead that. This woman has gone back to back weeks having stellar performances and having stellar matches for the women's division when we were lacking that on the TV. So big ups to her and big ups to Willow, bro. Like I don't disagree with you on that. That woman is a star upon star. And to that point, her being a star makes the most sense having her position in a storyline with the biggest star that you just picked up. I love that they are having Mercedes and Willow kind of mesh together in this standpoint of a storyline going off of the history of that title match in New Japan. And this is going to be interesting because the ending segment, we are seeing Mercedes and we're seeing Willow, and Mercedes coming out there with the save, helping her out. And you got that irky feeling, and you're like, she's going to hit her right. Okay, she's not going to do it just yet. I think this is a nice element to a storyline that I've been talking about because I was always under the idea that maybe it's going to be her and Stat goes heel. What about this? What about Mercedes is in the fold and she's playing a mentor to Willow and kind of lures Willow out. Willow is not necessarily a heel, but she's like, "Oh, she got my best interest." And Stat probably tells her she's not going to be here for you. What are you doing? And then Mercedes flips. And then Mercedes turns heel on her and does that. I think that'd be really interesting because I think her and Willow is going to be they had a good match, obviously, before the unfortunate injury. And I think Mercedes sees the potential in wanting to put Willow under her wing in the storyline to help build her up. Willow got built up when she won that New Japan the IWGP Women's title,
Yes.
right? They didn't book it as strong as they needed to, but she had a little bit of momentum. I think we're going to see. And this is why I picked her on Mailbag Monday. I said, my breakout star this year is going to be her. I think my prediction is gonna come true because this was good stuff.
I couldn't agree more. Dude, it was excellent. I really, really liked this out of both Willow and Rio. And we've joked around a long time about Rio. Rio is so great and has a huge spot on that AEW roster. We've got a bunch of awesome comments over here on Instagram. We got Tink 2254 with good grief, love me some Willow. Apex Sounds with Willow is fire. Tink 2254 with Rio is a fabulous worker. Love her matches. Bashar Hafi added, when's Sheamus coming back? We don't know. We don't do spoilers. Apex Sounds added kinda like what JC did with Thea. And I
Yes,
don't disagree.
Similar to it, but I think it'll be booked better. Clark knows I absolutely hate the Chase U storyline with Thea Hill and JC Jane, and they're wasting JC Jane's time. And they broke up Toxic Attraction for no reason. But
I do think Thea is good in that story. Yeah, I think Thea's good in that story. And like Shad said,
we'll talk about that on
tune
Tuesday.
in for that convo. Tune in Tuesday night for that convo because it's a good one. It's always fun. Because, by the way, we agree on basically most things. And it's not just that one, right? Like, I do agree on the JC Jane part of it, but I'm like, Well, Thea looks great though, and prospect wise, we'll talk about that later. Let's though. It's well, you know what? Actually, let's read a few more comments before we get into throwback. Actually, while I'm here, let's read one more that I want to read here, which is, hang on, I gotta scroll up to it. Hang on, guys.
You're right on top of things.
I'm all over it today.
People are
We're
delaying.
on fire. There we go. Coach 23. They have a new Tony Storm, Mariah May, Lyra Tatum partnership, Mercedes Willow.
Tag team division?
Tag team division? That seems like
Sky Blue and Julia Hart is also a tag team.
I don't hate it
in that company. Honestly, you got 2 6-man. You got do we really need to get
Thunder Rosa and who?
15 titles or easy.
The Renegade Twins, are they on AEW? They're on ROH.
They're on ROH.
No, we don't need another title to answer your question.
Okay.
We don't need another title.
Let's throw it back.
Anthony's right. No more titles. Let's end it.
Well, and by the way, to that point, it's Throwback Thursday, and we promise you guys Throwback Thursday, and this is maybe as fun of a throwback topic as you can have. Mick Foley, one night in Germany, went out and did his traditional over the rope spot, twisted up in the ropes, and he went home without one of his ears. Now he can still hear about it after the fact, but the lobe is missing to this day. It was collected, I believe, by ringside officiants, but there was really no reconnection to the side of his head. It's Foley. It's Vader. He lost his ear. Anthony, talk to me about this one.
Were you looking for a rim shot there when you said he could still hear about it? I assume that's where you were going with that. Yeah, this happens to be this week the 30th anniversary of Mick losing his ear. He was in a match with Vader. He was doing the traditional spot, like Clark said, where he went over the ropes and got tied in with his neck and was supposed to hang. The problem with it was earlier in the night, Too Cold Scorpio wrestled and complained that the ropes were too loose. Now, in WCW and in AEW, pretty much all of them except WWE, they use elevator cables that are wrapped in tape. WWE uses actual rope. So when they tightened them and Foley went over, it was tighter than Foley expected. And Foley's he thought he was going to pass out and barely fought his way out from almost killing himself in the ropes. So he did lose the ear. He was wondering where the blood was coming from. The ear was picked up by somebody at ringside and brought to the booker at the time, which I don't know if you remember this, Clark and Shad. The booker at the time was Ric Flair. And for whatever reason, Foley never got his ear back. I don't know if the thing is still floating around somewhere in somebody's collection, if it's in a trash fill. I don't know where it is. But,
they didn't put it back on. It's pretty gross by now. I would hope no one has that.
I'm sure somebody has it behind glass if they do. People keep all kinds of weird things in their collection.
Stuff gets really moldy.
Yeah. So, the legend of Mick Foley, who was already building a reputation as the hardcore legend from his matches in Japan and sacrificing his body, this adds to the lineage, the legacy of the hardcore legend that is Mick Foley. And it adds to the character that he would develop over the years and why he's still one of the most iconic and, revered of the hardcore wrestlers. There were a lot of positives Foley contributed to this business. There are a lot of negatives because a lot of people went, oh, that's how I get noticed. Foley evolved his game and took risks that were crazy. I mean, Ric Flair had called him a stuntman, at one time. But Mick really has built this legacy. I mean, we bring this up because there's talk, Mick Foley is talking right now that he wants to do one more match. Personally, I think he's out of his mind. I think health-wise, it would not be ideal. And it's not even just one more match.
I wouldn't doubt him.
It's one more death match.
Yes, sir.
It's not just any match, it's a death match. Now, I say this, I of course will watch it because it's Mick Foley. I'll watch it. I watched Flares, I watched Steamboats, I watched Stings. I will watch this. But Mick has built an unbelievable career, Hall of Fame career. But as part of that legacy is this missing ear from 30 years. I mean, he's lost an ear, he's lost teeth. Mick is definitely somebody that has left his blood, his sweat, and his tears for the fans, and you have to respect that. Literally, left an ear in Germany.
100%. He left physically an ear in Germany, and it's Team2254 over on Instagram commented, please no Mick. I'll say this. If Mick Foley wants to do it, go do it. I went and saw Mick Foley do stand-up and had the pleasure to meet him. One of the coolest guys ever. And it's funny because, cliche-wise, guys that act tough usually aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sense it the second you're in the room with Mick Foley. He doesn't have to act tough.
Mm-hmm.
He just is. That's who Mick Foley is.
I want to say one thing to be perfectly clear. When I say I don't think Foley should wrestle another match, it's not because I don't think it'll be decent. It's not that. It's because of Foley's health and the history of concussions and other health issues. It's his health is my only concern.
As you know, I was at that 99 Rock Foley Rumble. I
11 chair shots.
So I completely understand where you're coming from. But I will say this. If Mick Foley wants to do it, I'd let him. In general, it's Mick Foley. If that's what he wants to do, that should be his call.
I appreciate him using it as motivation to get his health back in order.
Mm-hmm.
He's been, hitting the gym heavy. He's losing weight. You can tell he's lost a good amount of weight so far.
Mm-hmm.
He looks good right now.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I mean, there's always, within the process of losing weight and working out, you need to have that goal that makes you want to get to the end goal or whatnot. And I guess that's it. I don't know how to feel about it because on one hand, I just said that I think Darby Allin is doing something completely foolish. But on the other hand, there's a lot more to life in regards to what you do. You want to do what you need to do. I think it'd be interesting to see him have a last match and a last death match. I've heard that a lot of it is rumored to be a person like a Matt Cardona, who is the indie king, apparently the indie god, the deathmatch king, as they say. And I think Cardona could work a death match with him that could be at least a little safe, right? I think there'll be some spots there. Probably be heavy weapon based. But it is concerning because Mick ain't a young guy. He's up there in age. His health is not the best from all the wear and tear he's put on his body. And it is an area of concern, but that's why we love Mick Foley, though, man.
It is.
I think this is a big reason why we love him, man. The guy does anything to keep us as fans entertained, and he's a legend for that.
I could not agree with you more on that too. And that's the thing is Mick's unique in that regard. Coach 23 has a comment here, and it's a great point. He couldn't even walk properly. His last best match, even before TNA, was his street fight with Randy Orton.
Mm-hmm.
And while I completely understand where you're coming from, look at Matt Hardy's hips. Look at the amount of wrestlers we see week in and week out with physical issues. We are not inside of Mick Foley's body. And if he feels ready for it and that's what he wants, he's earned the right to make his own decision here. That's my only point on that. That's my only caveat when it comes to that comment. Because I totally agree with you, right? Does it make you a little bit be like, ooh? And then Team 2254 added Cardona would be a real safe opponent for Mick. Yes.
If there is anybody out there that would be a safe choice for him, because quite frankly, WWE is not going to sign off on this. TNA is not going to sign off on this. I don't think AEW would. It's
No.
a possibility. I think the most likely scenario is either Japan or GCW. Cardona is the smart choice. They teased it, when they did the Hammerstein show. I think the next Hammerstein show. I think GCW is going to do another Hammerstein show, and that's where the Foley match is going to take place. I think Cardona is the safe choice because Cardona will be a lot like Kevin Owens was with Austin. He'll take the bumps for him. For the
Perfect
most
example. It's gonna be a
Yes.
brawl. It'll be more of a brawl
Yes,
type
absolutely.
of
Brawl.
death match.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we'll see the big elbow off the balcony or something
Yeah.
through a table in a catchable spot that
Yeah.
makes sense. We'll play the hits. It'll be Billy Joel, right? Is what it'll be, right? We'll play all the hits
Get the thumbtacks.
and get the tax out, which is safe as cringy as it can be when it, whatever. Like you see the tax going in your back, that is safe. Like at the end of the day, it's just pins you can take out. It'll be
a safe death match.
Coach 23 with the great guy. Friend of the show, Coach 23, by the way. Monster shout out with a safe death match. Finger quotes, safe death match. That is kind of a bit contradictory.
You'll get the rest spots where like people like Brian Myers and other Cardona people will run in, and like GCW people will run it to give Mick some break in the midst of the whole thing. It's
couple
going
run-ins.
It'll be very Sting, Triple H, WrestleMania, NWO, DX. It'll be a lot of that probably going on. Little run-in stuff. It's not going to be. This isn't going to be Mick, Terry Funk.
100%. I would say the safe bet is he walks out with his one good ear. I don't think we're seeing a second ear lost based on our topic for today's show.
That will be the next throwback.
I think when we get this death match, I am a gambler, but I'm not going to gamble on this one. But if I was, hypothetically speaking, I would say he walks out with at least the ear that he currently has.
Can you? I will call it now. If he doesn't, 10 years from now, the throwback's going to go. Remember when Mick had one ear?
Yeah. I mean, well, no ears is a wild move. Thank goodness he has hair, by the way. If it was me, I'm bald. Like, it'd be obvious. The headphones are helpful, but that's like the best that I could possibly do when it comes to that topic. I mean, Mick Foley, though, absolute legend in what he's done for wrestling. Like,
absolutely.
Anytime we cover him in a throwback, I do always want to say one of my all-time favorites. Coach 23 added maybe Moxley as a possibility.
No.
I think it'd be too violent, to be completely honest. I love Mox, too. I'm a huge Moxley fan.
Cardona is the choice.
Cardona is the smart choice.
I think that's too much violence.
Cardona deserves it, too, to be honest with you. Like,
and it's another Long Islander. It's Long Islander and Long Islander.
Right.
It makes the most sense.
Geographically.
Yes.
Geographically, yes.
It makes geographical sense.
Cardona is like really, I don't know. I think he's like one of the more like unsung heroes in professional wrestling. Like that guy literally is he's having the time of his life just doing indie stuff. And I remember when he was like hot on GCW when he was doing the death match with Nick Gage. Like Cardona made that thing look really, really entertaining, fun. And I think he'd make it he's got the silliness to make it, and you want to root against him to go against Mick. It's the perfect person. Moxley is you're splitting hairs with that one.
That one's too violent almost. Yeah. That's where like the even like as tongue in cheek as us joking about the safe deathmatch thing.
It's not safe.
Like it's not safe if it's not. With that does bring us to the end of today's show. It's been a blast. Thank you so much, everybody that's tuned in. Please check us out tomorrow. Same place, not the same time. That's going to be noon Pacific. That's 7 o'clock over in the UK. Time change is weird. I'm sorry, that's 1 Pacific, 8 o'clock still in the UK. I'm off by now. Everything's thrown off, guys. This whole time change thing, they just messed us up. But it's 1 Pacific. That's 4 o'clock Eastern. That makes that 3 o'clock in the Central. 2 o'clock Mountain. That's 8 o'clock still in the UK. And most importantly, It's a little later in Hawaii. I actually don't even really know the
I
time.
was
I was going to
wondering
nail
if you
that.
were
I'll
gonna
talk to you
nail
guys
that.
later. This has been awesome. We'll see everyone tomorrow.